All right, you jive turkeys. Let's do this. Hey guys, it's Lord here, back again with another edition of Saturday Morning Cartoons, and judging by the edgy intro, some big. I'm dropping this hammer down. I haven't done it yet, at least not one of these videos, but today we're talking about my top 10 favorite animated villains. Now, I was just gonna do movies, but then I'm like, you know what? I don't like a lot of villains in the movies. Not enough to make a top 10 list, maybe top 5 or like 6, something stupid like that. So I'm just taking it across the spectrum. We're doing TV shows and movies. Now I have to see them in their entirety for them to count. And that's very hard for me because, well, especially my buddies in Collector's Dungeon know I haven't seen jack squat. So, with that being said, what I have seen may surprise you. With that being said, let's get things started with number 10, and that is going to be Steel from Balto. Kind of a sellout move, considering I've been watching Nostalgia Critic a lot, as well as the Balto movie. But Steel is an evil jive turkey mofo. He doesn't give a crap if children die and is willing to sabotage the path Balto makes to get the medicine back to Nome, so he doesn't get back to Nome with the medicine. It's pretty low, man, and Jim Cummings does a very good job at portraying this character, and he is just Don Bluthenized up the wazoo. He looks like a Don Bluth villain, even though he isn't. So, Steel takes the number 10 spot. Number 9, I have to go with Shan Yu from Mulan. Now, why does he make the list? Of all the Disney villains, which that's not the only one, I'd say about half this list is Disney villains, but why is Shan Yu on here? Because he's a freaking monster. He's this big, hulked up version of Attila the Hun, basically, who we all know was a nasty mofo back in his day. And he has a pet falcon. I mean, any character I draw with a bird on his shoulder now, inspired by Shan Yu. But that's not the point. The point is, the Huns are nuts in this movie. The big mountain battle scene where they all come charging down the mountain at the Chinese army is probably the most testosterone driving scene in that whole movie, and it is freaking sick. Not to mention the part where he pops out of the snow like daisies. So, I gotta give it up where it's due, man. And Shan Yu is definitely one of the more memorable Disney villains for me, and that's why he takes the number 9 spot. Also, he almost took over China with like 5 guys. Just saying. Number 8 goes to Maleficent. Now you're probably thinking, whoa! Well, I'm kidding. It goes to Red from All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. Gotcha. Actually, to be completely honest, I screwed that up. But that's not the point. The point is, Red from All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 is what I wanted in the first movie, but we didn't exactly get. If you know what I'm talking about, of course I mean the Hell Mutt, the Hellhound from the first movie in that nightmare sequence where Charlie goes through hell and then wakes up. I was hoping that character was actually going to be the main villain, not just the bulldog. But, yes, what can you do? It's a Don Bluth movie. You can't knock Don Bluth movies, even the bad ones. Okay, maybe the bad ones, because Troll in Central Park was shit. But that's besides the point. Great designer, though. But All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 had the villain I wanted in the first movie. And, for as much flack as this movie gets, you have to admit, when he uses Gabriel's horn to suck all the dogs out of heaven and trap him in the prison of Alcatraz that starts descending into hell, it's kind of nuts. That is very nuts and makes for a good final battle scene. So that's why Red takes the number 8 spot. Number 7 goes to Maleficent. Now, why does Maleficent rank so low on the list? Because her motive sucks. She got snubbed, basically, so she's flat up evil. Which is probably why I don't mind the Maleficent movie as much as some people, because, that has a lot of cool stuff in it. But that's besides the point, not what we're talking about. However, while her motive is petty BS, I will say the final battle scene is awesome. Her turning into that big freaking dragon is just badass. And it's like, fire everywhere. You will not stop the powers of hell. It's like, you're going to notice a pattern on this list, too. Keep an eye out for it. Or an ear, I should say. But, yes, the dragon fight is definitely one of the best final battles in Disney. Even though, she got snubbed and Prince Charming doesn't say a whole hell of a lot. It's still awesome. And we get to see flippin' impalement on a Disney movie. That's nuts. And I mean with blood dripping out of it and everything. So kudos to whoever put that in there. And that's why she takes the number 7 spot. Now, number 6, I'm probably going to get flack for this, but I don't care. It's going to Imhotep from the Mummy Secrets of the Magi, because that's better than saying Mummy Animated Series, because that just sounds stupid. But Imhotep, again, Jim Cummings. Shocker. This is my... When I think of Imhotep, I think of this guy or Boris Karloff. I don't think of anyone else. I don't think of the mummy who was obsessed with coins from Scooby-Doo. I think of Imhotep or, the cartoon one, or Boris Karloff. And Imhotep, the Jim Cummings version, the cartoon one, is like a god, man. He's shooting fireballs. He's turning into sandstorms. He's summoning armies of the dead. He's summoning all kinds of wackiness and using artifacts as weapons and all kinds of... He's just making it a living hell for the O'Connell. Oh, what the hell? O'Connells. I couldn't remember the freaking name. Duh. Write a script. No. So, that being said, I don't think I need to say much more about Imhotep. He's just a freaking badass. That's all there is to it. Speaking of badasses, number 5, I'm going with Slade from Teen Titans. Now, this is why Teen Titans Go sucks. It doesn't have Slade, a.k.a. Ron Perlman, voicing the character Deathstroke. And I have to say, for not knowing a whole lot about Deathstroke from the comics, this is automatically what I think of when I think of Deathstroke / Slade. I think of the one from Teen Titans, which is a really awesome character. Even if he has nothing to do with the comic books, I kind of prefer this version. He teamed up with Trigon. He was a hell-spawn warrior at one point. And then he's just he's a mysterious, almost like a Boba Fett kind of character. He's got this mystery to him. It's crazy. It's really awesome, too. It's like, who is this guy? His name's Slade Wilson, but that's it. That's all we know. And he disguises himself and all kinds of other stuff throughout the show. It just makes it more interesting. Way more interesting than some of the villains, I must say. But that's besides the point. Slade definitely deserves the number 5 spot on the list for, well, more or less Ron Perlman just doing another bang-up job as a villain character in an animated series. Number 4, the Horned King from the Black Cauldron. Now I know. Maleficent's better. Yeah, she turns into a dragon, but again, the motive, I like a good motive with my villains, Everyone on this list, it's all... Maleficent and Steel probably have the most BS motives of all time. It's like, Steel just wants to be a big shot, and Maleficent got snubbed. When you look at it, Shan Yu wanted to dominate China. Red wanted to destroy heaven. Imhotep wanted to rule the world. Slade wanted to basically do what Slade does. And then Horned King, again, wanted to take over the world. With an army of the undead he raised with a black pot. Not to mention, he's got 2 pet dragons. Kind of beats 1 when you think about it. But, he also has this little goblin stooge he chokes out occasionally. Like, strangles him. It's really fun. And, he just looks cool. He looks like Skeletor. So, he definitely deserves number 4 spot on the list. Number 3, God, I hate this character, but I love him at the same time. I love to hate him, I suppose. It's got to be Frollo. Hunchback. This guy's a bastard. I'm sorry. He's like the villain I love to hate, because he's such a bastard. I hope Dismania 65 can find me a figure of this dude so I can have everything kick the shit out of him, because he's just a bastard. I hate him so much. But he is such a well done character. He's basically the dark side of the church, the messed up side of the church that they don't like to talk about. He does what he wants when he wants, and he doesn't give a damn because he thinks it's all in the name of God, and that's pretty realistic considering the time frame. So, and his song's pretty freaking metal, I must say. So Frollo definitely deserves the number 3 spot on the list just for being a freaking bastard. God, I hate him. Number 2, David Xanatos from Gargoyles. I had to put my favorite show on this list. You saw it coming. And Gargoyles, I must say, outside of a few exceptions, you got Xanatos, you got Demona. Really, the villains weren't anything crazy. I wanted to put Demona on this list, but Xanatos just has that sly, like, he's such a D-bag, because he can't get mad. You can't make him mad. He's always so fly and so slick with his schemes. And he's like Bruce Wayne. He's just flat up rich. He's basically like a chilled out Lex Luthor, which is, when you think about it, in politics, that's not very common. You either have like the nice guy or like the blowhard. Xanatos is like, he comes off as a nice guy, but he is such a jerk. But he doesn't get mad, and you know what? He's got a lot of power. That too. And then, Riker. Riker from Star Trek Next Gen is the guy. Jonathan Frakes, I believe, is the guy who voiced him. I always want to say Brent Spiner, but he voiced Puck. But that's besides the point. Xanatos definitely deserves number 2 spot. And then a number 10 spot, or the number 1 spot, excuse me. What could possibly be better than all of that? You got a bastard priest, minister, whatever. You got individuals bent on domination or destroying life or just sly mofos. What could possibly be better than that? Well, the shadow of them. The devil himself, Lucifer, Mephistopheles, or in this case, Chernabog. Chernabog is my favorite number 1 animated villain of all time, even though he really doesn't do much. But you see what he can and is capable of. He basically summons demons from the underworld and destroys them. Just like he destroys the lives of those he's corrupted. Because 9 times out of 10, the Disney villain bites the dust. And basically, he is in the shadow of them because he is manipulating them. Because without him, none of those other characters would technically exist if he is, quote-unquote, the devil. And also, Fantasia is one of my favorite Disney movies, so that helps too. And Night on Bald Mountain's just an amazing piece of work. Came out in the, 1940? Very early, so I can only assume the amount of piss that was on the seats in the movie theater during that scene. It's also the first nipple we ever saw on screen. 2D, anyways. So, Chernabog definitely deserves the number 1 spot, just for being flat up evil incarnate. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned. Next week, we're going to look at the All Dogs Go to Heaven animated series, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.